We on? Here we go. Come on, this thing gotta say hello, everyone. Well, we're 1 minute, 2 minutes late. Hello. Anyone there? Yes, another Thursday. Hello, everyone. Who's there? Did I get this one right? All right. Vulnerability scan. Oh, exploitation Badness-O-Meter. Hello. Hey, Steve, Hey, Kevin. How are you? Happy Thursday. It's a beautiful day out there. Yeah. Yeah, I even missed a meeting today accidentally. Thank God I recovered because I took a walk. Uh, uh, 45 minutes. Well, we have 45 minutes to meet late for a meeting. I ended up taking a walk out there because the weather was so nice. Hey, KBY4, hello. Yes, walks are always worth it. Yes, yes. Hello, everyone. Yes, welcome. I've actually kind of lost track what episode we are, but I know we're in season 11 right now. Yeah, we don't have any good weather coming though. I don't know about you guys in Ohio, but we got rain coming like this weekend and then for a while. Yeah, it's like, hey, it's Quanta. Okay, yeah, how you been? So today I don't think it's gonna take a long time. I don't think today's going to take a long time because today is going to be on tools, vulnerability scanning, and the Badness-O-Meter. So most of today is going to be using tools. Yeah, most of today is going to be using tools. And we're going to answer an age-old question. Yeah, things are good, KBY4. Yeah, things are good. We're still doing it. Still at it. Still at it. It's still a lot of fun. Cybersecurity is still a problem. I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's still a problem, and of course, it's National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So this week, today, is on vulnerabilities, and the gist of today is going to be answering a question I get all the time. The question I get all the time is, okay, are there tools out there that you can scan a system for vulnerabilities? That's it. That's the question. And the answer to that question is, oh yes, there are many. Today is also a prelude for something bigger, a lot bigger, and that will start next week, better known as web security. Okay? The biggest fish in the fry is still, even up to this day, is web security and web applications security. Still the biggest fish in the fry. So before we actually go anywhere, we got to get the basic definition first. So the basic definition, what is a vulnerability? A vulnerability is a weakness. This also applies to real world. Okay? You go to cve.org. Now CVE, oh my god, I always forget what the definition, like what's, I always just say call it CVE. Common vulnerabilities and exposures. Okay, that's what CVE is. CVE.org, for years it was maintained by MITRE. What CVE is, it is a catalog system to identify, define, and catalog publicly disclosed cybersecurity vulnerability. Publicly disclosed. Anyone can report a vulnerability using CVE. Anyone can request a CVE ID. A CVE ID is in the form of, well, CVE 2025, the year, 4-digit year, followed by some sequential number. Okay? So, do we have any good CVEs from 2025? Of course we do. Apple security updates. You ever read the Apple security update, or you read the Microsoft security bulletin? Um, let's say the latest iOS 11, iOS 26, and iPad 26.0.1, and you can see here the security update was because there was an out-of-bound write issue was addressed with improved bound checking. So we have CVE 2025 43400. This was actually given to Apple. So if you give a search on this CVE ID, which is CVE again 2025 43400, you're going to get a result, and it's just going to have the CVE ID and what the vulnerability is. That's it. Okay. If you go to resources glossary, so vulnerability is just, here it is. They give a very nice definition of if an instance of more than one or more weaknesses in a product that can be exploited, causing a negative impact to confidentiality, integrity, or availability. That's it. Okay. CVE is widely used. CVE is used in white paper, Stack Overflow, news articles, you name it. GitHub, okay. If you're ever enabling security scanning on GitHub repositories, they're going to scan your code and configuration files if there's like any known CVEs, okay. There's also another scheme called CWE, another organization called Common Weakness Enumeration, CWE. CWE is also a catalog system, also maintained by the MITRE Corporation. Now, CWE, Common Weakness Enumeration, is a dictionary of vulnerabilities. ID number followed by a vulnerability. So the top 25, so CWE, there is something called the top 25 most dangerous software weaknesses list. Okay? And this is a list we're going to refer to all the time throughout the remainder of this course. How do I get my damn mouse to the damn iPad? Here we go. Are we going to use this list? Oh yeah, definitely next week as well. So CWE weaknesses. So what a CWE is, it's just an ID followed by a software weakness. So the number one biggest software weakness in 2024, CWE 79, improper neutralization of input during web page generation, better known as cross-site scripting. CWE 787 is out-of-bound write. CWE 89 is SQL injection. Okay. Is it an out-of-bound read? Yep. Out-of-bound read is number 6, is CWE 125. So if you go back to the Apple Security Board, so out-of-bound write. So this CVE 2025 43400 Apple is an out-of-bound write. So out-of-bound write, there's a CWE for it. So CWE 787 is out-of-bound write. So what's the difference between a CVE and a CWE? The biggest difference is CVEs are tied to products, companies, institutions, systems. CWEs, none of that. It's just what the weakness is by definition. So CWE 787 is out-of-bound write. Not tied to any products like an Apple or Microsoft or Google or Adobe or nothing. But we can have a CVE that is an out-of-bound write, that is a font parser issue in iOS and iPhones and iPads. And it's an Apple issue. So that's the difference. You use both. You use both CVEs and CWEs. We're going to use CWEs more often than not in this course. And why is this important is because next week, for the next 2-3 weeks, we're going to focus on web security. And next week, we're going to deal with CWE 79, cross-site scripting, CWE 89, SQL injection. That's going to be the topic of next week on Twitch. Path traversal, CWE 22, CWE 78, operating system injection. We're going to see all those next week. We're also going to see, you're going to see CWE 77 command injection. Use of hard-coded credentials, we're going to see also. So this is a prelude for next week and for many other weeks, okay? Next week immediate is going to be cross-site scripting and SQL injection. number 1 and number 3 CWEs on this list. So you may be now wondering this transition, okay, there's a whole bunch of vulnerabilities here in the ZWE list. Is there a way, is there any tools out there that can scan systems for CVEs and even CW, like for CVEs and CWEs? In other words, there a way that we can actually take a look at, like if an application, is there a way that tools that you can use to scan applications if they have CVEs or even CWEs existing? And the answer is yes, there is. Now, before we go guns a-blazing, we want to make sure we have we have like a playground to work with. And we also want to make sure that we have legal permission to do some of these things. You don't want to go guns a-blazing or anything. Like when you're actually, let's say archery, for example, you test your skills in a range first, okay? So is there a safe place where you can train, where you can, practice? And the answer is yes. For today, what I have set up is we have a playground. I have a server in my home lab that has like a whole bunch of Docker containers up and running. So one of the things I am going to introduce to each and every one of you today is this is just a preview for the next few weeks. I'm going to go to github.com, mchow01, and this is my GitHub repository. Why do I show this? And the reason, because I have some deliberately vulnerable applications. I have some deliberately vulnerable web applications that we can use. One of them is called Not Uber. Not Uber, what it is a ride-sharing clone of that. There's an app that is a El Cheapo version of a certain ride share, and that uses Node.js, Express, and MongoDB. Warning, wink wink, is potentially vulnerable. So here I am, I'm going to go to repos, git clone, not uber, okay, cd not uber, okay, docker compose up. I gotta do a docker control build. I wrote this damn thing. I forgot even what the, oh, this is a 3000. Not up yet, of course not. Build, docker, compose, up. We're going to do a poll. Okay. So, while this is building, and this is fine, I just want this up and running. So, the question is, you have a system, you have a server, you have an application, whatever it is. There are tools that you can use to scan for vulnerabilities, and the answer is yes. And usually the first tool I recommend everyone to go and use, if this is like you're starting out, you're trying to learn how to scan for vulnerabilities, the Nmap is nice, but it's really a network scanner. It wasn't by default built for, scanning for vulnerabilities. The tool that I want to introduce you all first, it's been around for ages, for decades, is Nessus. Okay? Nessus used to be a commercial product. I mean, it used to be a free and open source product when I was younger. Then it became a closed source. So Nessus is a commercial product now, but it's by far and away the most famous of all vulnerability scanners scanning tools out there. Okay? Companies pay big money each and every year for Nessus. Okay, so what Nessus is, and they have an education version of Nessus that you can use, that you can download for free. You can only, if I'm not mistaken, you can only have up to 16 IP addresses. Okay. So Tenable owns Nessus. To do this, what you want to do is just go to try. Oh no. Tenable One? No. What's the free Nessus version? Let me get the link. If you want to use this you want to install this, it's platform independent too. Okay. I think it's called Nessus Essentials. Yeah. Yeah, this is what you use. Is this up here? Yeah, that's up. Not Uber is now up and running on this system. Nessus Essentials. I'll send you the link. This is what I use. A 1-year essential license. So what it is you get Nessus, but you can only scan for vulnerabilities for up to 16 IP addresses per scanner. Okay? Does not include support for unlimited scanning, compliance check, and audits. So all you have to do is register for an activation code. I use like fake information, and while your email, you have to use a real email address. So I have like a whole bunch of email addresses, so I get an activation code. Okay. And then of course after you say get started, you will get the option to go download Nessus for your proper platform. So I have Nessus installed on an instance of Kali Linux that I have on my home lab. So you got HTTPS, Kali, 8834, or whatever IP address. Usually it's going to be like localhost colon 88 port 8834, and you hit enter. This is fine. This is how you use Nessus. There you go, Nessus Essentials. I'm going to log in. And there it is. Nah, I don't want to apply it now. Not in the middle of a scan. So the first thing is, when you load up Nessus for the first time, it does take a long time to load initially because it has to download a dictionary of like the plugins for all the known vulnerabilities. And over the last couple of decades, it's been lots and lots and lots of vulnerabilities that are publicly known. So it has to download, it's like 2, 3, 4 gigabytes or something like that of dictionary of plugin data. And then the first thing you'll be presented with is a host discovery scan. What a host discovery scan is going to look for all the stuff on your network. So if I can do a host discovery scan, I think I can do one right now. Can I do one? Yeah, I can do a yeah. Okay, this is what you do. So I'm going to delete all these. I'm going to delete all this, both of them. I'll keep this one. I'll keep the basic network scan. Just for reference if things don't work out today. Okay, so I don't need this. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to do a new scan. I'm going to do a new host discovery. So I'm going to say home targets. I'm going to do 192.168.1.1, the entire IP, the entire 192.168 IP address space. So I'm going to hit save. And now, home is going to be my home network, so I'm just going to hit the launch button. I'm going to hit the launch button here. Here today starts at 4:51 p.m. You can go for a cup of coffee or whatever. But what this really is what it is just a glorification. Really, what it is under the hood is an Nmap scan. Okay, think of it that way. It's legitimately always like it looks like an Nmap scan. It smells like an Nmap scan, and it's going to find all the devices on your home network. And there it is. I don't know what percentage means. What does that mean? I have no idea. So right now on my home network, I have 12 devices. Still running. So you can see I have a Mac. I think that's this thing. I have a phone. I have a Pi hole. That's my laptop. That's my Apple TV. That's a Kali Linux box. That's my light bulb. Okay. What, they already found vulnerabilities? Really? Oh, no, 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 no. That's good. So it's still running. It shouldn't take that long. Maybe like a couple minutes tops. Sometimes um, it can go a little bit longer. So while this is going, there's nothing preventing you from actually creating another network scan. So the next thing I want to do, let's say this is still going on. What you can do is host discovery scan. Can I click on all of these yet? Nope, still running. Still running. But what you can do then is once you've actually found all the IP addresses that are on your home network, you can just do a vulnerability scan. You can also do it for a single IP address as well too. I actually, while we're waiting for this, I can do one. So there's a couple of things that we can do. Here are your free options under Nessus Essentials. You can do a basic network scan, a full system scan suitable for any host. You can do a credential validation scan, an advanced scan, a malware scan. You can do a mobile device scan. This is not available on Nessus Essentials. Web application. I like this one. This one looks really good. Scan for published and known web vulnerabilities using the Nessus scanner. I like that. Oh, look at this. This is also new. I didn't know this. Find AI, LLM, and machine learning related detections and vulnerabilities. Cool. These are not available in Nessus Essential, which is all like the PCI and all the audits. This is where Nessus makes most money because lots of companies and institutions get Nessus for doing compliance scanning. Yeah. Oh, yes. You know what? How are we doing in terms of scans? Oh, we're done. My home network is good. How many devices? Took 2 minutes? 12 hosts. What I can now do is this. I can go to home. I can click up all the IP addresses. I could. Is there a way? I'm trying to remember. If there's a way, go to more, go to create a scan. And I want to do a basic network scan on all of these. Okay. Yeah. So I could do that. So I'll do that again. I'm going to go back to scans, go to my home, which I just did today. Click on all the IP addresses. Just select all of them. Just go to more. Oh, can I do a launch here? Oh, nah, let's do more. Create scan. Basic network scan. Home network scan. October, here it is, 2025. Twitch session. Hit to save. Home network scan. October 2025. Vulnerabilities. So I'm going to hit the run button. And it's just going to do a vulnerability scan on all those IP addresses. And this is going to take a while. This could take a while. Go out for a cup of coffee. And what you will see a little bit later, you can now start to see the list of vulnerabilities and also color coded as well too. Now, the thing that you're really looking for, the things that you will really catch your attention, if any critical high, any vulnerabilities that are critical or high, that will actually be the one that you really want to pay attention to. Okay, so let this thing go. We'll let this thing go. But this I did a basic network scan on my home network like back in June, and this is how it ended up looking like. So you can see the different color codes. There have been like 2 critical vulnerabilities. There's a few high, few medium, few low, few lot of informational ones. But the one that you want to look for, like the critical maroon one. So it looked like that 192.168.1.18 has a bunch of maroon ones. Here it is. MongoDB. Here we go. MongoDB service without authentication detection. Here's MongoDB, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. This is an old issue, but I found it, and here's the proof, quote unquote, the proof, the output. And Nessus will actually try and make a connection to the Mongo database, which it did. Here's the evidence. Here it is, 192.168.1.18, supports 270.17, MongoDB, open. Okay. There's a bunch of low and informational. We don't care about those. How about this one? 248. I don't even know what machine this is. I forgot what machine the 248 is. There's a whole bunch of Node.js vulnerabilities here, so you want to fix that. Critical. This version of Node.js installed on a remote host is prior to 18.19.1, yada, 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 a whole bunch of vulnerabilities. Interesting, okay? So, yeah, I mean, you can see it in covers. I don't know what Tornado Web is. I don't know what this is. You can see a whole bunch of vulnerabilities. You know why? Well, since I'm here, I'm going to do a new scan. Let's do a vulnerability scan on the honeypot that you work with on lab number 3. So let's do a basic network scan. Just go to ransomware.zip. Yep, I own that domain. This should look familiar to a lot of you folks. Ransomware.zip. That was the address of the target in lab number 3. Lab number 3. Ransomware.zip. Hit save. Can I do that? Hit enter. Launch. That should be one of my. You can have multiple scans going. Hey, how's our home network scan going? There you go. Look at that. Still going. Still running. I don't know who 192.168.1.247 is. Oh, this is a Ruby issue now. Ruby REXML denial of service vulnerability. Who's 247? That my Cali box? Yeah, okay. So 192.168.1.247 is my Kali Linux virtual machine on my home network. So it detected that it has a Ruby REXML library installed that is vulnerable to a denial of service. Not a distributed denial of service, but a straight denial of service vulnerability. Keep going. Okay. We'll just keep letting this run. You can refresh the screen, go out for coffee. Ransomware.zip. Got nothing so far. Really got nothing. And remember, you only have 16 IP addresses that you can use, and we already use at least like 12 or 13 of them. Nessus is a well-known tool and a widely used tool to scan systems for all sorts of vulnerabilities, like all sorts of vulnerabilities. If you want to be even more specific, you can do things like web application tests. You can do like web application tests to for specific web application vulnerability like SQL injection, cross-site scripting. Like we can do one. So let's go to not Uber. Can I do not Uber and I can do the following? If I go here, what is my URL? http://192.168.1.18:3000. Take a look. Try that. Save. I don't know if this will work. It should. There it is. So I have not one, not two, but three vulnerability scans running at the same time. One against ransomware.zip, one specifically. Oh, okay, because it did not match any target validation. Okay. Okay, so this one failed. Alright, so I have to change this up for a little bit. It should pick it up in the home network scan. There we go. There we go. There we go. 192.168.1.18. Picked it up. Because the not Uber app, this stupid app right here uses MongoDB, and I just open it up by way of cloning the repository and just do a Docker compose. Okay. So this isn't gonna. So this is nice. I also understand that. Okay, there's cross-site scripting abuse. It can find those. So okay, this is good. I mean, it's still running. It's still running. We don't want this anymore. Can we go do a delete on this one? Can we delete this one? Oh man. Oh, trash. Still going. Ransomware.zip still going. 3 vulnerabilities now. Okay. Let it run. Let it run. So you may be wondering, okay, well the problem is Nessus is a commercial product. Is there a free and open source version of Nessus? The answer is yes. Go to the Wikipedia of Nessus. So Nessus is a proprietary vulnerability scanner from Tenable. Reno built it. So in October 2005, it went from open source to proprietary license. The free and open source version of Nessus is called OpenVAS. Okay, OpenVAS. The Open Vulnerability Assessment Scanner, formerly known as Nessus, okay, this is the free and open source version, okay, of what really is Nessus. So go to openvas.org. There's a full feature vulnerability scanner. It works very much like Nessus. The only biggest differences are, number one, OpenVAS is free and it's open source. But one thing I will say is that in terms of the graphical user interface and the usability, Nessus is really nicer. It's much nicer. Okay? A lot nicer. There are also a lot of vulnerability scanners out there. So Nexpose by Rapid7. Nexpose is also proprietary. Nexpose on-premise vulnerability scanner. Okay, same idea as a Nessus vulnerability solution. This is used by big companies. If they have like many computers and servers, you can do a free trial of this. You can get a free trial. It's not cheap for companies. We're talking like 50 to hundreds of thousands of dollars for companies to use. Okay. So what it does is going to collect information. It's going to force you to go and make the changes yourself. Okay. So that's the advertisement pitch. So you even get like risk scores, like everything that like a lot of what you've seen on like right now on Nessus. Yeah, so this is like crystal clear proof that there is such a thing as a vulnerability scanner. Um, for generally any kind of system. And also the thing about Nessus is you can break down by different types of vulnerabilities, such as malware or web applications. How are we doing? Right. Still going. Ooh, still going. We have this MongoDB that is critical. So we have to, so now if you see a critical vulnerability, you have to close that out. Okay? All right. So things like Nexpose, Nessus, OpenVAS, these are general vulnerability scanners. They also are used for management purposes. But is there anything more lighter? Do you need all those features? Like, what if I just want to scan a website or a web application for vulnerabilities? Can I do that as well? And the answer is yes. Okay. One of my favorite vulnerability scanners, because it's so easy to use and it's text-based and it's fast. Ready? It's Nicto. The Nicto scanner. They even have a guide on this on Code Camp now. I didn't know this. I didn't know about this. Web server scanning with Nicto. Nicto's been around for a long time. Like, it was written in 2000, in like the early 2000s. Nicto can find things like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, a whole bunch of vulnerabilities. So it's free and it's open source. Okay. Still use this up to this day. One of the very first security tools that I learned. Nicto is free and it's open source. All you have to do is follow the instructions, clone the repository. You can even run as a Docker container now. I didn't know this. Okay, that's nice. So, let's see. I'm going to go to 192.168.1.18, which is my home lab, and I have... This is a website I have at my home to monitor the stock market and, financial news. Let's see if this thing has any vulnerabilities. I'm going to leave this now. I'm going to go back into Kali Linux. So how you use Nicto is the following. Type in Nicto. You get a whole bunch. Of options. Nicto, we're using Nicto version 2.5.0. Oh, error. No host specified, so minus host. You need that. Really? Is it minus host or is it minus host? There's a whole bunch of options here. Is that minus host? Yes. Okay, so Nicto. Minus host. I use minus host. 192.168.1.18. And there it is. I'm going to let it run. Let it rip. Oh, not much. That's it. Redirects to 192.168.1.18. Oh, that was kind of boring. No errors. It drew 8,102 requests. Okay. You can also specify a port. There's a minus port option, right? Yeah, minus port. Port to use default 80, so I can use port 3000 because I just posted the Yep, powered by Express. I didn't find anything. Through 8,102 requests, no errors, 5 items. Oh, that sucks. Oh boy. Ooh, that's boring. So here's the target IP, the host name, and then the port number, and you just get, a whole bunch of different vulnerabilities. Now, if this was a... Oh, interesting. Hold on. Really? That's weird. Oh, that's not good. wp-config.php found. This file contains credentials. Not bad. Let me do this again. Wait a minute. Let me go back to the original scan. Interesting. Okay, that's a vulnerability. That's a pretty bad one. Weird. Huh. Well, found something, and that's a pretty serious one. So I don't think we did that bad. I don't think we did that bad at all with Nikto. Um, if there are like applications with open directories and stuff that you can just walk into, Nikto will find those. If there are files with, as you can see here, with credentials, you'll find those as well. Not bad. It only took like a few seconds to do, 7 seconds to do a Nikto scan. The one problem with Nikto is, and some of you folks may have seen this in the alarm lab, is Nikto is pretty noisy. Very noisy. It made 8,102 requests, like in rapid time, like in really, really quickly. Also, Nessus is also notoriously noisy as well. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. How's ransomware? Oh shit. Ransomware.zip also have vulnerabilities now. Looks like HTTPS issues now. Damn. SSH issues, they're low. So you have to judge, like, do you really want to, is it really worth fixing those? But if it's a medium, okay, maybe I want to take a look at these. This is the first time, by the way, I've ever done a vulnerability scan against ransomware.zip. Okay, on my home server, however, this is just loaded with vulnerabilities now. So on my home network, I have a whole bunch of IP addresses and a whole bunch of vulnerabilities, a couple of critical and high ones. Okay, my rule of thumb is this. My rule of thumb is if there's anything that's critical or high, you got to take care of right away. Okay, of course, for me, if I want to solve this problem, the MongoDB one is simple. Just take this whole thing, take the whole damn service offline. It's a deliberately vulnerable application anyway. Okay, so now we have seen Nessus, you have seen Nexpose, you have seen Nikto, you have seen you have seen OpenFast. Are there any other vulnerability scanning tools out there? Well, there are too many to list. There is way too many to list. In fact, the next one is going to be a prelude to next week. Other vulnerability scanning tools also include things like one of my favorites, and the security community uses this all the time. It's called Burp Suite Community Edition. Now, Burp Suite is made by a company called Portswigger. Portswigger, web application security testing and scanning. Okay, so there is a free version of Burp, and there's a commercial version of Burp. The commercial version of Burp has a scanner. That scan, like just punch in a website URL, and it'll just scan for vulnerabilities. And it is an annual license for like it looks like it's $475. Yeah, and let me just say, 1 year subscription, $475. Like bar none, a lot of my friends say it's well worth the money. It's like well worth the money, and so you can actually scan, like just enter a URL or find all sorts of vulnerabilities on your website or web application. Okay, the free version of Burp, which we will use next week, um, only has what is called a web proxy. Okay, you have to do it's all manual testing, no automated testing at all. No automated testing at all. So now you may be wondering, is there a way, is there a free open source version of Burp that you're on pay? And the answer is yes. I'm here on my Mac and I'm going to do a brew search for Zap proxy. The ZAP proxy. Yeah, it's right here. Or is it Z? Oh, I already have Z. Zap. It's brew search for Zap. Brew info minus cast Zap. Yep, here it is. A Z attack proxy. Free and open source web app scanner. Okay. Brew install minus cask Zap. I'm going to install that on my machine. So this is a free and open source alternative to Burp. It has an automated scanner. It has a proxy, which we will use, but it's a lot less nicer to use in terms of the interface. Burp is beautiful because it actually has a built-in Chromium web browser, Chrome without the Chrome, so for installing the cask. Still here, still installing. It is a Java app, very much like Burp. There it is. They changed. I kind of like this, you know. I kind of really like this new version of the launcher. I really like this new version of the launcher. So here's Zap. Do I want it? Fine. Quit out of this. Don't need this. Don't need that. What the fuck is it? There it is. Zap. Oh, it's just free of. So what I have to do is this, because we're an Apple. Sometimes Apple, I think their security have gone way too far sometimes. Or where the heck is it? There it is. Open anyway. I have to approve it. And here's Zap. Nah, I don't want to persist. Yeah, I want to allow. No, I don't want to persist. Remember my choice. There you go. Update all. It's downloading all the updates. Oh. Takes a few minutes. Zap is a really nice tool to help, like, some of these tools, like, not only to help to identify vulnerabilities, but if you're doing development, it really is nice. Because when you ever build software or do any development work, you should always care about, you always got to care about security. Having these tools really help. This is only the tip of the iceberg, everyone, so all tools help. Oh, we uploaded everything. Cool. I already got that, buddy. Let me quit out of this again. Alright, now let's reopen. Okay, so now we're in. So we'll do an automated scan. We'll go to HEB 192.168.1.18. Use a traditional spider, and then all you have to do is Ajax spider or modern. Never. Nah, never. Can I do? Oh, I don't have any of these browsers here. All you have to do now is enter in a URL and then hit attack. No host to it. What do you mean? There you go. And it's just going to keep running and running and running and running and running. So here's the active session. Holy shit. And so you can actually see, is it still running? It's like, oh, attack complete. What the hell? And you can actually find, oh, here's the vulnerabilities. Whole bunch of vulnerabilities. Now, just want to let you know, even though these are flagged as vulnerabilities, it can found proof, you have to figure out and you have to determine whether any of these vulnerabilities make any sense, or do you even care about. Okay, this one I could, yeah, this one I can get is a problem. HTTP to HTTPS and secure transition in a form post. I'll buy that. Okay, I'll buy that. But really, if a vulnerability scanner actually flags a vulnerability, like all these things here, you have to go verify if they're actually legit vulnerabilities or not. Okay, you have to determine if you even really care. So I want to do one all over again. Let's go back to the quick start. Now I want to go back to the not Uber app, the not Uber app. No, 3000. And hit the attack. See if we found anything here. I'll be interested. I don't know. Wait. Okay, so it did. Oh, it's mixing. Oh, can I clear all this crap? Oh, yeah, I can clear. You want to delete all the alerts? Yeah, I want to delete all the alerts. I want to re-attack the app. Not Uber. Okay, so now it's like 5. Right? Content security policy, content not set. Risk low. You know, there's bigger vulnerabilities here. There are much bigger vulnerabilities than this. So the quality of vulnerabilities alerts is also interesting as well, because I can tell you right now is that these are not very interesting. They're not very interesting at all. So, okay, Zap is another tool that you can use, but there's so many of these tools out there. There's so many of these vulnerability scanning tools out there. So where do you go from here? So what's next? There's an underlying message. And there are two very big underlying message of today. Okay, so we're done. Found all the vulnerabilities, okay. Alright, so I'm just going to stop here. I think this is a very good time to stop today. So lesson number 1 is this. Vulnerability scanning. You know what a vulnerability scanner is now. Here's a good example. We have a host, an IP address, and it's a critical vulnerability. If there's a critical vulnerability, you're in big trouble. I think we can all agree on that. Critical vulnerabilities, high vulnerabilities, not good. You got to fix that right away. You're in deep trouble. However, imagine you're like 192.168.172. This one doesn't have any vulnerabilities per se. Does it mean that 192.168.1.172 is secure? The answer is no. The answer really is, who the hell knows? And here's the thing that you got to keep in mind. Vulnerability scanners does the job of doing something called vulnerability scanning. But it's not the end-all be-all. Unfortunately, here in the year 2025, there's still a lot of cybersecurity professionals that think, you know, the goal is to get no vulnerabilities or to get all low vulnerabilities on a vulnerability scanner, and then we can call it a day. And that is bad fallacy. That's bad thinking. That's completely wrong. It was never right to begin with. Never was. So, my friend and mentor, Gary McGraw, many years ago, created this concept better known as the Badness-O-Meter. The Badness-O-Meter goes like this. Your vulnerability, you run your system against vulnerability scanners, and it's really going to boil down to two things. Either one, you're in deep trouble because they are critical and high vulnerabilities, or really, who knows? Remember one very important thing about vulnerability scanners. Vulnerability scanners will only scan for publicly known vulnerabilities that are on a system. I repeat, vulnerability scanners will only scan for publicly known vulnerabilities. Namely those that have a CVE or a CWE. But remember, every day there are vulnerabilities on computer systems that we don't know about. Right now, there are dozens and dozens of vulnerabilities in Microsoft Windows operating system that we do not know about. We do not know about there's a whole slew of vulnerabilities in Microsoft Windows that we don't know about. Who knows them? Probably a few. There's definitely a few people who definitely know a few. But they're just holding on to them so they can be weaponized at a certain time. That's also known as zero-day vulnerabilities, where people just don't know about them. So even if your vulnerability scanner does not report any vulnerabilities or any major vulnerabilities, doesn't mean you're safe. Does not mean you are safe at all. If your vulnerability scanner returns critical and high vulnerability, that's on you. Okay, that is on you. The second thing that is so critical to know is the difference between a vulnerability scan and a penetration test. A vulnerability scan, which we have seen throughout today, it's just going to scan your system for vulnerabilities. You still have to verify them if they're still any good. A penetration test is a totally different matter. It's to actually do the exploitation of the system to get the data, to steal the data. They're two different things. They're two different things, and a lot of companies and institutions are required to do both. Okay? One of the dirtiest secrets in the cybersecurity industry is that there are companies who run a Nessus scan against a target. Let's say they get hired by a certain company, a healthcare company, to do a penetration test, and a vulnerability scan. So a lot of cybersecurity consulting firms, what they do is they run a Nessus vulnerability scan against the healthcare company's infrastructure using Nessus, and then they take the Nessus report, plop a logo on there and say that's a penetration test, and that's like really bad faith. A penetration test is a totally different matter. Actually, you have to actually be the attacker, exploit the vulnerability to dump the data. So a vulnerability scan will say, oh, SQL injection exists. The penetration test is you have to prove that it happened. Penetration test versus vulnerability scanning. Penetration testing involves simulating a cyber attack to identify and exploit vulnerabilities. This is like what I just said. Providing a detailed analysis of security weaknesses. A vulnerability scan, in contrast, is an automated process, which we have been doing today, that detects potential, and the key word is potential security weaknesses without exploiting them, offering a high-level overview. Yes, it is true. A lot of institutions, nonprofits and for-profit, have to do both annually for compliance purposes. But it is extremely bad faith that there are cybersecurity vendors out there that mix the two together. Okay? They're two different things. Okay? Next week, when we start to do web application security, when we do web security and web application security, you're going to do the pen testing. You're going to actually dump data and do exploit. And that is today. And this leads to web security next week. We're done. All right, we're done. Today we're done 15 minutes early. That's all I just need to get out of the way today. Is what a vulnerability scan is, what the Badness-O-Meter is that even though if you have a vulnerability scan that returns nothing, doesn't mean you're secure at all. Not at all. Not by a long shot. And a vulnerability scan is not the same thing as a penetration test, which you will do next week. All right. Thanks, all. Let me get this thing out. Hello. Hello. Hello.